The scream tore through the morning stillness of Willow Creek like a siren, sharp and guttural, pulling every neighbor to their windows. It came from the backyard of Emma Thornton's quaint two-story home, a sound so raw it could only mean catastrophe. Emma stood frozen at the edge of her prized koi pond, her hands trembling as she stared into the crystal-clear water. Empty. Her heart pounded as she scanned the surface, praying her eyes were to say VYing her. 7 Japanese, each a shimmering masterpiece worth thousands were gone. Vanished. And there on the pond stone rim lay a single deliberate clue, a cheap plastic whistle, the kind used by overzealous HOA officials. Emma's blood ran cold. She knew exactly who was behind this. For 3 years, Emma had lived quietly in Willow Creek, a suburban enclave where manicured lawns and pastel mailboxes hid simmering tensions. Her passion was her koi, rare nishikigoi she'd spent a fortune acquiring and nurturing. Each fish, with its intricate patterns of crimson, gold, and midnight black, was a Li-Vying work of art, legally permitted under strict regulations due to their value and rarity. Her custom-built pond, a serene oasis tucked behind her modest home, was her sanctuary until Cynthia Hargrove, the iron-fisted HOA president dubbed Curb Appeal Cynthia by exasperated residents, declared war. It had begun innocently enough, 6 weeks earlier on a humid Saturday morning. Emma was pruning her roses when Cynthia's voice sliced through the air like a blade. Emma Thornton, we need to address your unauthorized water hazard now. Cynthia stood at the side gate, her yoga attire pristine, a clipboard clutched like a weapon. Her eyes glinted with the zeal of someone who thrived on control. Emma, wiping sweat from her brow, forced a smile and unlatched the gate, bracing for the INEVY table lecture. Good morning, Cynthia. What's the issue? Emma asked, her voice steady despite the dread pooling in her stomach. Cynthia didn't wait for an NVY Tatian, marching into the backyard with the confidence of a general. Her gaze locked onto the pond, where the koi glided gracefully beneath lily pads. This, she said, jabbing a finger at the water, is a violation of HOA Bylaw 17, Section 3. Unapproved water features are prohibited. And those fish, they look exotic. We don't allow invasive species here. Emma's jaw tightened. She'd spent months gating bureaucratic hoops to install the pond, securing permits and HOA approval long before Cynthia's reign began. Actually, Cynthia, I have all the documentation. The board signed off on this 3 years ago. Would you like me to grab the paperwork? She kept her tone polite, though her patience was fraying. Cynthia's lips pursed, her eyes narrowing as she scribbled something on her clipboard. The pre-VYS board was sloppy. I've tightened our standards, and, as president, it's my duty to enforce them. This pond exceeds allowable dimensions by at least 15%. You'll need to dismantle it within 10 days or face fines. She leaned closer to the water, inspecting the koi with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. What are these things worth, anyway? Emma hesitated, sensing a trap. They're nishikigoi, Japanese koi. They're rare, contained, and pose no ecological risk. I have federal permits for them. She omitted their value some fetched up to do la 5,000, each knowing Cynthia would weaponize the information. But the damage was done. A flicker of greed crossed Cynthia's face, quickly masked by her usual sanctimonious frown. There's no size limit for ponds in the current bylaws, Emma pointed out, her voice firm. I've memorized that handbook, and half the neighborhood has water features bigger ones, too. Cynthia waved a dismissive hand. Those will be dealt with. As for the rules, we're revising them. The new guidelines take effect immediately, and I'm enforcing them. She made another note, her pen scratching with theatrical flourish, and strode out without another word. Emma stood rooted, fury simmering. Cynthia wasn't just enforcing rules, she was inventing them. Over the next week, the harassment escalated. Warning notices appeared on Emma's door, each citing vague violations like excessive aquatic active VY tie. Cynthia sent mass emails to the neighborhood, warning of rogue residents threatening property values with dangerous wildlife. Emma's phone buzzed with texts from sympathetic neighbors, sharing their own tales of Cynthia's tyranny, fines for unapproved flower beds, citations for non-regulation birdhouses. It was clear Emma wasn't alone, but she was Cynthia's primary target. Determined to fight back, Emma prepared for the next HOA meeting. She compiled a binder of EVY Denke, her pond's approval forms, current bylaws permitting water features, and photos of other neighborhood ponds. She enlisted Dr. Lena Sato, a local ichthyologist, to vouch for the koi's safety and ecological neutrality. Emma even gathered letters from neighbors who admired her pond's beauty, hoping to sway the board. She wasn't just defending her fish, she was challenging Cynthia's unchecked power. The meeting was a disaster. Emma arrived early, her presentation ready, only to learn Cynthia had reprioritized the agenda. Instead of discussing the pond, the board debated mailbox font sizes for 2 hours. When Emma tried to speak during the open forum, Cynthia banged her gavel, declaring, "We're out of time." Meeting adjourned. The room erupted in murmurs, but Cynthia's loyalists, her hand-picked board, ushered her out before anyone could protest. Frustration turned to dread as Cynthia's campaign intensified. She parked her SUV across from Emma's house, snapping photos of VY ciders and jotting notes. She hired a pond compliance consultant, her cousin, a landscaper with no aquatic expertise, who issued a report claiming Emma's koi were a biohazard. Neighbors whispered about Cynthia's vendetta, but fear of retaliation kept most silent. Emma felt like a prisoner in her own home, her sanctuary tainted by constant surveillance. Then came the breaking point. Emma returned from a weekend conference, exhausted but eager to check on her koi. As she pulled into her driveway, something felt wrong. The pond's usual shimmer was dull, lifeless. Heart racing, she sprinted to the backyard. Her worst fears confirmed. The pond was empty. No koi, no movement, just the faint hum of the filtration system. The maintenance hatch hung open, its lock tampered with. And there, on the stone edge, was the whistle, Cynthia's calling card, left like a taunt. Emma's VY sound blurred with tears and rage. She searched frantically, hoping the fish were hiding, but found nothing. Then her phone rang. It was Nate, her neighbor across the street. "Emma, get to the community pool. Cynthia's here, showing off some rescued fish. They're in the water. You're not going to believe this." Emma sped to the pool, her mind a storm of panic and fury. A crowd had gathered, neighbors murmuring as Cynthia stood at the water's edge, gesturing dramatically. "These creatures were a threat to our ecosystem," she declared, pointing at 7 shapes darting through the chlorinated water. Emma's breath caught her koi. Their VY Brant colors, muted by stress, were swimming in the pool, confused and vulnerable. "Cynthia, what have you done?" Emma's voice shook with barely contained rage, cutting through the chatter. Heads turned, the crowd parting as she stormed forward. Cynthia spun, her smile smug. "I protected our community. These fish were illegally housed, so I relocated them. As HOA president, it's my right to neutralize hazards. They're endangered Nishikigoi." Emma snapped, her voice rising. "Worth thousands each, with federal permits. You've committed theft, vandalism, and VY wildlife laws." She fumbled for her phone, dialing the local aquarium rescue team, praying the koi could be saved from the chlorine's poison. Cynthia's confidence wavered, but she doubled down. "Don't be dramatic. They're just fish. I have authority to—" "No, you don't," interrupted a sharp voice. Margaret Klein, a retired judge who lived nearby, stepped forward, her phone recording. "You've trespassed, destroyed property, and likely broken federal law. I've called the sheriff." The crowd gasped, sensing the tide turning. Cynthia's face paled, but she clung to her bravado. "This is an HOA issue, not a police matter. I'm enforcing." "You're exposing us to a lawsuit," cut in Tom, a realtor neighbor. "Those fish are worth more than my SUV. You've gone too far." Chaos erupted. The aquarium team arrived, netting the koi with practice care, but their leader warned Emma The chlorine exposure was severe. We'll do our best at the rehab facility, but it's touch and go. Sheriff's deputies followed, taking statements from witnesses who'd seen Cynthia bragging about liberating the fish. A neighbor's security camera had caught her sneaking onto Emma's property with a bucket, her whistle dangling from her neck. As deputies cuffed Cynthia, reading her rights, she sputtered, "I'm the HOA president. This is my jurisdiction." The lead officer, unfazed, listed the charges: trespassing, grand theft, and wildlife violations. Each fish carries a due law $3,000 fine, ma'am. With 7 plus damages, you're looking at overdue law $20,000 and possible jail time. Cynthia's composure shattered. "Call my attorney," she shrieked as the patrol car door slammed. "And reschedule the Petunia border vote." Emma watched, numb, as the crowd dispersed. The aquarium team promised updates, but hope was slim. Days later, she learned 4 koi had died. 3 clung to life. The loss gutted her, but the neighborhood rallied. An emergency HOA meeting, Cynthia was ousted, and Emma's pond was unanimously approved retroactively. Lawsuits loomed, but Emma cared little for retribution. Her sanctuary was broken, its heart stolen by a woman who mistook power for right. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.